Welcome everybody, welcome. Hi. How you're doing? Welcome Source. Welcome. I have some special plans for today's stream. It's not a Zero to Hero stream today. I want to actually grind a lot of the labyrinth and actually grind to the maximum. What does that mean? Let me set it up quickly, give me a sec. But the idea is that I want to check how much gold can you do with maximum boosters, like absolutely giga buffed character, everything to the maximum, and also just double checking if everything is perfect. Yeah, so that I have the best setup for tagging while also getting all the magic find. You see my buffs are so long that I actually cannot see all of them, and I have some stuff prepared in terms of what I want to use my boosters on and stuff. So yeah, will be probably a lot of stuff that you might have, you might not have, we will see. I have a lot of boosts, so currently without any other things I'm at 656, so that's easy to get to 750 cap. And I also have a lot of boosters like gold find, med karma find. Those my account here is obviously quite a lot of magic find and stuff to the maximum, so it might not be easy for you to get to those numbers. Maybe you have even higher numbers, but I have also food and boosters that are also increasing my experience, my magic find and everything. So it will be probably quite a crazy grind. So let's go to the labyrinth, and we also will set up the, how is it called, the session tracker. And this will be popping off when every 5 minutes or something when it's updating, and I will see how much gold I actually got. So I will join a group, and then I will place some banners, and then I will just see how much gold I can get in the time of the stream. As always, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, whatever you want to know, let me know. There we go. Looks good. Join the group. Teleport to the commander, of course, to skip all the annoying walking, and we should be fine. Just that's what we're gonna do for the next couple of hours. If you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, they actually have some food. I will not take the ascended food. I want to have the magic, the other food that I'm already using, and I just try to stay on tag and try to grind as much as possible. As you can see, it's insane how much experience I get. I will drop down the banners whenever we rest for a second, when we open a door or something, because it's crazy. I have so many experience buffs on. It's almost like I get spirit shards with every few seconds. I'm not joking. I expect spirit shards out of the wazoo. It's absolutely insane. It's probably the highest thing that you will ever get in terms of spirit shards, while also getting a lot of gold. It's really good. So I guess I put down the spirit banner or something. Spirit banner. There we go. Even more experience. Very good, very good. Quick question: how you really earn gold doing meta events or in general? So as a new player in general, you get in Guild Wars 2 never that much liquid gold. So that's the thing that you see here, liquid gold in your wallet. So when you open your purse, your inventory, you see that in the bottom always, it's the gold value. There is not a lot of activities. There are not a lot of activities in the game that actually earn you gold directly. Of course, a little bit is always gained. As you can see on the right, there is some things that is just added on top, and you will always get a little bit of it. But the big chunk, typically between anything between, I don't know, 40 to 99% of your income of a specific farm is always materials. So you get some kind of material, you get some kind of bag that you open, and you sell the materials on the trading post, and you will get gold. Or you will get currencies. So for example, you get volatile magic in Living World Season 4 maps, and this you can convert into other materials, and this you can then sell. So it's always in Guild Wars 2, a lot of the stuff is acquired, the gold, via selling stuff on the trading post. That's the whole typical thing that you would expect there. So that's how you get gold typically in Guild Wars 2. It's really about understanding that liquid gold is very rare that you get a lot of it. Yes, fractals give you a lot of it, PvP might give you some of it, but it's more about selling materials and currency so that you actually get gold. That's how it works. But if you have any more questions or if you didn't understand it, just ask again or let me know what is the problem. I'm always happy to help, and maybe I'm just a veteran that talks too fast about stuff that you might not understand at all. So just let me know. Let me know. Yeah, always happy to help. Always happy to help. And yeah, we will just kill this enemy here apparently. Normally you don't have to kill those, the big champions or legendary mobs here. You will get 25 more magic find for killing those. That's quite nice, so you can easily stack up to 750 here. And that's good for me, of course. It will not last forever, but it's better than nothing. I enjoy Mechanist mainly for its simple linear rotation, basically 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I'm not a big fan of relying on the mech. Are there any other specs or builds, easy rotations that can still perform well? So on my YouTube channel, Asrian, I actually have a lot of low intensity builds. Not all of them are the same in terms of low intensity, but some of them are a bit higher in terms of APM, so actions per minute, so something that you are looking for, but not hard rotations at all. So you can check those out. Oh my god, we got a lot of stuff. We have to actually change that setup here. We don't want to see all the stuff that I just got. But yeah, in general, low intensity builds are your friend in that regard, and you can slowly work your way up to harder rotations where you have to like really follow up a specific loop and not just smash your buttons when they come off cooldown. But I would recommend, for example, I have a low intensity Soul Beast. I have a, which doesn't have a pet, of course. You could use a, I would say, low intensity Tempest. It's really good. It's more spammy than, for example, just Hammer Auto Tech Guardian, but it's definitely not as complex as a Condition Mirage or something. So let's check the settings here. Let's unselect all and let's just select Trick or Treat bags and Spirit Shots. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Wait, what's going on? Apparently it crashed now. That's not good. Give me a second. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. A little bit annoying if the Blish HUD crashes and then you cannot see anything in the game anymore because it's too much apparently. But I can fix it. That's good. That's good. Give me a second. I will be right back. Technical difficulties. Who would have thought? Until we get the stream perfectly set up. Okay. Now it should work again. We are back. And hopefully we can set up the settings here. Unselect all. Trick or treat bags. I want Spirit Shots. And go it. Is it crashing again? No, come on. How often can it crash? That's actually insane. Maybe we expected that I use all the time in every single game mode, because then half my boosts will just wear off. When I play this like this here now, I will be able to tag all of the mobs while also getting insane amount of like just passive like fun. You know, I can talk to you without having to concentrate to tagging all the mobs because I get a lot of boons and provide them to allies. I don't know. I have to like reset again. Give me a second. I'm really sorry. That's annoying. It's really annoying. But yeah, you will not miss a lot of gameplay in any way. I'm just like standing here and casting my stuff for tagging, but anything else is like nothing happening. So there we go. Hopefully this time it works. I will not select anything now. I will just wait apparently for the module to completely work up and load up, and everything should be fine. How about a button mashup spec with no difficult rotation? Yeah, exactly. That's I would say Tempest is a good one, or like for in general you can go for a Power Mechanist is also good, but you said you don't like pets, so I think Tempest is a good choice. And unselect all. And then let me select Spirit Shots and close it. Okay, 2 mobs here. That's really good for us that we have 2 champions here, because like I said, each of them gives us a stack of 25% increased magic find that will linger around, I don't know, for an hour or something like that. So we will be able to get up to the maximum magic find of 750. And therefore we will get like insane rewards, of course, just for gold standards, but we will also get a lot of experience, so spirit shards. That's the two things that I'm in here. And that's it. I find it boring to use 2 buttons or 1 button DH and data. Exactly. That's why I think it's like you use a middle ground, so an easy rotation to follow, but way more buttons to press. That's why Tempest is really good. I have a low intensity Tempest build coming up very soon as well. And I would also recommend, for example, maybe like a low intensity Untamed is really good, or Soul Beast if you don't like the pet there either. But there are a lot of low intensity builds in my playlist, like Spellbreaker, for example, that have not a hard rotation, but way more buttons to press than just 1 or 2, like the Unload Deadeye. So it should be quite fun. Yeah. Welcome, Oink. Welcome. Favorite guild was 2 content creator during my launch pack. Nice. Welcome, Whoop. Welcome. Glad to hear that. But yeah, we are just going to limit test the labyrinth farm. So I'm farming here for multiple hours and just hopefully entertain you and answer some questions. But I will test how much gold, trick or treat bags, and the most important part, spirit shards. I want to test how many spirit shards I can actually get, because I think this is probably one of the best, if not the best, spirit shards farm in the game. And we will test how high I can get this. How many spirit shards I will get into like a couple hours. Yeah, let's see. I saw an easy Tempest that just uses Sitches to Boonshare. Yeah, I mean, in general, there is like, you can easily have, like, there are so many low intensity builds, and there will be even more coming up with the expansion. Like, insane amount of, like, for example, Evoker will be very easy to play. But there are so many others that will be very, very strong, and they are already out there. Like, you can play Tempest, low intensity. You can play even the low intensity Mirage. There are so many, like, underrated low intensity builds out there. It's really crazy in that regard. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to just Boonshare with the Herald here and get a lot of like spirit shards and stuff like that. Yes. Make money by salvaging the unidentified gear you get? Yes, that is true. You obviously always make money for getting unidentified gear, salvaging it, or selling it to TP. It's generally, that's how Guild Wars 2 economy works. You always get a lot of materials that you then sell on the trading post typically to get the actual gold. That's how it works. I love Herald. I'm feeling lazy. I don't even need to tag, just press W and get the bags. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people run Herald. It's typically the most played class. And I just play it because I feel like tagging is very easy. And the important part here is for me that I don't want to concentrate too much on having like to always tag all the mobs, because I want to talk to you. I want to make some kind of interactive stream, not only like me trying to concentrate on my farming rotation to actually get all the tags. That's why it's so easy. Just provide some boons here and yeah, I mean, I get all the loot and you see how much crazy experience I get. 1 kill, 5k experience. Okay. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That means I will, like, every couple of minutes, maybe even every minute, I get a spirit shard. I'm not joking. It's actually insane. It's really, really good. Let's quickly check. How's the spirit shard set up? I want to have the gold. There's the gold. Where is it? There's the gold. And I want the trick or treat set up. And there we go. Now it should work. Okay, this time it didn't crash. Third time is apparently the charm. Very good, we did it. No, always happy to help. Always happy to help. I'm still at work, but I've been waiting for the streamer to ask, do I take the highest tier resources for legendary crafting? Those which are needed 250. So you talk about the tier 6 materials. Tier 6 materials in Guild Wars 2 are, I would say, either you buy them from the trading post, which is the typical way that you would do it. You buy 250 of the powerful blood from the trading post. It costs gold, that's it. If you want to get like them yourself, then you have 2 options. Either you farm specific mobs, which is like very bad in terms of time efficiency. I would not do that. I would rather maybe farm maps like I do and get gold and buy it from the TP, or farm specific Living World maps, Living World Season 4 and maybe 3 if you really want to get volatile magic. And this is the important part, because volatile magic can be converted into tier 6 materials. That's the typical way that most people will get their tier 6 materials. And the last way is using spirit shards and upgrading tier 5 materials, so the ones that are a little bit lower in the value, or quite a bit lower, and you will spend quite a lot of them with spirit shards together to get the specific ones in terms of like just tier 6 blood out of tier 5 blood using spirit shards. Those are the ways to typically get those, yeah. Welcome, Pfeiffer. Welcome, welcome. You can play a lot of builds in lab farming. It's really, it doesn't really matter. I have like top builds, not playlist, but a video about it on my YouTube channel. But in general, it's like play the build that you like, try to get as many boons to your allies, and try to get something that is fast while also having some range to actually kill the enemies. And it should not be a big problem. And buying 250 of each one is too expensive? Exactly, exactly. If you don't want to buy them, then you would typically farm like Living World Season 4 maps, and you should be somewhat fine with that. But it's really about trying to find a way to get, for example, Volatile Magic, which you can easily get and then convert into tier 6 materials. That's the typical way, or of course Spirit Shards conversion, like I said earlier. I have a video about that if you want to know how to do that. The plugin that I'm here using is called Session Tracker. It's for Blizzard, and it's just using the API, updating every, I don't know, every 3-5 minutes, something like that, and just checking how much changed, and they will just show what in the current session, how much I did get. Stuff like that, yeah. What's your take on Guardian? I think it's underrated. I think Guardian is insanely strong. All elite specs are extremely strong. I think Guardian for farming here is really good because you have a lot of boons and stuff. It's easy to get access, and I think it looks really cool. I think Guardian will, with Luminary, they will probably give some crazy buffs to it. I think Guardian is one of the most played specs for a reason, and it's really good. I think if Mesmer didn't exist in PvE, I think Guardian would be the best spec for flexibility reasons and stuff like that, but Mesmer is slightly better nowadays, at least in my opinion. Yeah, for the lab farm, of course, I would say Guardian is not the absolute best. It's not as good as Herald, for example, but I think it's definitely a very solid spec. It's not as bad as, I don't know, maybe Ranger. I think Ranger is probably the worst class to lab farm. I think Guardian is definitely way better than that. I think Guardian is somewhere in the middle. It's not the absolute best. It's not like Mirage, or it's not like Herald or like Thief, but it's definitely very, very strong as well because you can provide unique boons like Aegis, stability and stuff, so that makes it very easy to tech because you provided boons to allies that actually killed the mobs. So I think Guardian is very underrated for lab farming. And in general, I think a lot of people always think, oh, I have to play this spec to get the most amount of loot. Don't. Every single spec has a crazy good tagging build. You just have to play it. That's the thing. You don't have to swap your class to actually get the most amount of loot. You really don't. So just wanted to mention that here. Isn't it better to do green doors only? Yes. So in general, the best way, I would say, for an experienced squad or like an experienced group here is to farm all the mobs between the doors, of course. That's a very good gold source, and then only do the green doors. But that's the cool part. If you can upkeep those approval of the Mad King stacks, you get more Magic Find, and then it makes it easier to stack Magic Find. You get those stacks by killing the bosses that spawn from the doors, from the pink purplish doors. And if you get to the maximum Magic Find of 750 using those things, you can actually get that very, very easily because you get so many like increases from this approval of the Mad King. And that's why you sometimes kill the legendaries that spawn. But also, of course, it gives, especially like the Steve one, the Labyrinthine Horror, those will also like just help you getting a little bit more gold. But in general, green doors only is the best way. That is correct. I have to remind myself to always like get some boosters back going and stuff like that when something runs out. It's a little bit hard to see, of course, because my minimap, maybe I should decrease my, doesn't help. The minimap is, even on the smallest setting, is too big. It's too big to maybe I have to deactivate it. Maybe that helps. Minimap, where is it? Objectives, compass. Is the compass this thing? Yeah. Yes. Okay, now we can see all my buffs. It's barely visible, but we see all my buffs. That's very good. Oh, it's running almost out of the screen. Fine as well. Yeah, just farming some labyrinth and trying to see how much gold you can get per hour. You can see currently the prediction is per hour 69 spirit shards. Nice. And like 6 gold liquid and almost like 1.2k trick or treat bags. So that's like, I don't know, 7 gold, like something around like 30 5 gold. Something like that from the trick-or-treat bags. So I'm expecting, like say, 30 to 40 gold per hour and some spirit shards. It will be a good gold power with this farm, with all the setup, with all the boosts here. Really, really nice. Best way is to stack Steve to candy or lich bosses and cleave them both at the same time. Yes, exactly. If you can kill multiple bosses at the same time, they are worth it. If they are single, then it's not necessarily worth it. If you kill them very fast, then it can still be worth it. But typically, I would say green doors only is the best way to do it. Yes. Why concentrating on spirit shards? I have a lot of questions under my YouTube videos, under my streams, and people always ask, how can I get spirit shards? And I want to showcase how easy in Guild Wars 2 it is actually to get spirit shards. I don't have any problems getting spirit shards on this account, like not at all. I can showcase this here for a second. I have here in the wallet over 5k spirit shards. I have hundreds of legendaries. I have all the arena skins. Just wanted to mention that because I used a lot of the spirit shards already. And I have over 10k tomes of knowledge, which I could convert into spirit shards. So I would have 10k more spirit shards. So that means I have like 15k spirit shards in my wallet, basically. And that means that you, as a new player, will just say, whoa, that's crazy. But in general, if you run around with boosters, especially during meta events like this year, you get so much experience, you level up so fast, you get so many spirit shards in the background. You just have to know how to actually get the most amount of value for your time that you spend in the game. And that's why I want to showcase this here. I want to like do for a couple of hours the lab farm and just say, okay, I got like over 150 spirit shards by doing some kind of a couple of hours of lab farming. And I want to showcase that for a new player, this is very easily accessible as well. And there are so many other metas that actually give you this somewhat similar amount of experience and stuff. Obviously not as 24/7 as the Labyrinth, but currently the lab is going on, so you can actually do that here as well as a core player without any expansion. That's why I want to show this. And spirit shards are very important, especially with the upcoming expansion with the new legendaries. We need a lot of spirit shards for those. That's probably a set, probably a given. And I just released a video yesterday about how to get Mystic Clovers, because a lot of people want to get Mystic Clovers for the legendary. And those are somewhat limited sometimes by spirit shards for some people. And that's why I want to showcase this here. Yes. Yeah, you could drag it to the top right, but now I just deactivated the minimap because who cares to see the map? No door. Okay. Yeah, but the minimap is very, very unimportant here. I'm just like, I want to see my boosters and if they're running out. I have insane amount of boosters. You can easily get those as well. But of course, if you're a new player, that might be a little bit more challenging to get them. I have like celebration bonus, festival gobbler, of course experience bonus, and I have the blackline booster, food. I have like the utility consumable. I have even, that's the crazy part here, I also got the enlightenment buff from the heart in, how is it called, in Saitung province. There is a heart that gives you plus 20% experience gain and 10% magic find gain, stuff like that. You can actually get a lot of buffs. I cannot upkeep all of them. So for example, one of them is just 1 hour. I cannot upkeep that forever because I would just have to stop farming the labyrinth and go back there. But for now, I will try to get the most amount of them, and I will always try to be at the cap of 750 magic find. Yes. Welcome, Flanos. Welcome, welcome. I used all the trick-or-treat bags for candy for myself because in a dire need of bags. Is that even a good idea? I didn't follow a better way to get cheap for bags. So I would say the bags, if you need candy corn, yes, open the bags, you get a lot of candy corn and you save on the taxes of the trading post. But if you want to get the most amount of gold, I would just sell the bags in general because you don't want to engage with opening them. You will on average not make profit there. So I would say just sell the bags, and if you don't need the candy corn right now, buy the candy corn whenever you need it. But if you don't need it at all, just sell the bags. If you need it right now, the candy corn, then I would say get and open the bags. That's the best way, yes. I don't care if I'm in the squad or not, because the squad is not like having subgroups. If you are in the squad, you get the boon sharing prioritized to people in the squad. If I'm running around here, it's so to say proximity based, and it doesn't matter in general. So I will just tag wherever I get the people to tag here. it doesn't matter. I can easily join the squad. I have no advantage for being in the squad or not, because the thing is here, like I said, this has no subgroups. If there would be subgroups, I really want to be in the squad, because then we have boon sharing and alacrity and that kind of stuff. But now it doesn't matter. So I could easily join the squad. I can also showcase this. It doesn't matter, to be honest. I can join the squad here and it will have the same effect. Nothing changes. I have a lot of builds. If you want to see this specific build, you can just go and type !build like you did, and then there will be a link, or builds rather, and then you will see a spreadsheet with all my builds and all my videos about it, and there will be this build in there as well. So I hope that helps. Sure. Just !builds with an S at the end, and you will see how many builds I have, and you can just check out the one that you like. I've tested them relatively new compared to most, with about 340 magic find. Max achievable for me, I get 500 bags per hour. Yeah, I think the bags are obviously nice, but for me, I really want to showcase here how much spirit shards you get. Because if you are like 60 spirit shards per hour or something, you can convert roughly spirit shards with a very consistent conversion rate of 0.7 gold per spirit shard. So that means I can say roughly around let's say 45 gold from the spirit shards if I would convert them. Just 45 gold per hour from the spirit shards, and then on top of that the trigger treatbacks and the liquid gold. So it is quite good, yes. What about Mystic Clovers from the Wizard's Tower? Why did you not mention them? Are they too expensive? No, I mentioned them. It's in the strike section. You can get them from the strike section. It's in the video as well. It's just very short. I wanted to be concise. That's why it's not like showcased very long. But yes, I mentioned them in the video as well. Thank you for the answer. Also, though, I thought if I'd asked lab farm ops by myself and there's no group lab farms, I stumble upon those moments pretty often. You can always go in the LFG here and go to festivals, and there should always be like multiple squads up. In the festival section here, large squads, or even sometimes in central area, there are people also in the squads here. You see, there are so many squads open, even in the middle of the night, whenever, there are always people farming. So it just, in the end, just try to get in a squad where people are farming, because that's faster. Farming alone, yeah, you can do it, but it's definitely not the fastest gold farm that you can get. Nice, that's very good. Always happy to help, and it's perfect if you currently were looking for a Mystic Clover guide. Very good, very good. If you made a video on maximizing magic find for Halloween Lab, would be pretty helpful for people like me who don't want to hunt each buff individually. Yeah, so I made a video back in the past about how to maximize your magic find gain, but I did not make a specific video for how to maximize the magic find in the labyrinth, because it's always a little bit like challenging for depending on what kind of setup you have. But I could easily I want to make a video about how much spirit shards you can get, and I will probably also mention how you can maximize the magic find. Coming out probably in the next couple of days. We will see how fast I can edit it. But yes, that's the whole idea of today's stream, so to say, is gather some data, gather some showcase, and talk about how you can actually make that work to get the most amount of value for the stuff that you actually want to get from the labyrinth. I'm actually not hiring. Sorry, Flanos. I'm really sorry to hear that, but maybe tomorrow you will have a different view on your situation. I'm really sorry to hear that, but maybe just like take a day off or something and you have a better time then. In general, it's like, I think mood is always very important, like mindset and stuff. Sometimes you are just feeling very like drained and you might not enjoy your job right now, but maybe next week it's better. So maybe take a few days if you can do that. But I don't know. I feel like it maybe just relax a bit, play some labyrinth and stuff like that. Maybe that helps. But in general, I think it's very important that you enjoy what you're doing. And currently, I actually enjoy a lot streaming and making a lot of videos. You might have noticed I actually increased my video quality quite a bit. So hopefully that's also paying off for you. Yeah. 150, 250. Yeah, Magic Find is like very, very important for specific farms. Here in this farm, it's not insanely important. It's more the experience that gives you a lot of gold. But if you get higher Magic Find, you get more trigger treatbacks. So in general, that's even better, of course. I would say personally, Magic Find 750 is doable. For new player, it's way harder to achieve than for a veteran. And the most important thing is boosts. I'm really sorry, it's like experience boost or the Candy Corn Gobbler boosts and stuff like that. And Blackline boosts and stuff like that. Celebration boosts. It just takes time. You have to get those boosters to get to the maximum. It's really hard to get this without any boosters, or it's almost impossible. Yeah. Is there a reason why people go into World vs. World to use the Candy Corn Gobbler? Yes. So, in general, there was the idea that you actually go into World vs. World to get the buffs that you actually want, because there are some buffs that you can get, for example, the damage reduction buff or the speed buff or something like that you don't want. And people expect that all the buffs will be converted into buffs that they can actually use for getting more loot. For example, the experience buff or the magic find buff. If that's true or not, that's something that you can argue about it. If that's like really increasing the rate of the specific buffs that you want, or if it's just increasing the transformation buffs instead, I don't know. I'm just saying you can do that. In general, it doesn't really matter in the long run, because most of the time you will just get a lot of experience buffs from the Candy Corn Gobbler anyway. So if you're not like in for every single penny, then it's probably still safe to do it in the PvE area. And I'm not even sure if it works like that in competitive modes. I just come back after 8 years break. What should I focus on? I would say get Ascended gear if you don't have it yet. That's really good. And try to get your masteries up to date. That's the 2 things that I would recommend. But enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't like that specific thing that I just mentioned, go for something else. There's so much to do in the game. It's really, really good. But welcome back. Welcome back. Just leveled the Revenant a minute ago. Now to get hero points. Very good. Very good. It's really good. Revenant is a really fun spec. You can get a lot of hero points to get the Herald Elite spec unlocked. You don't need to have a specific expansion for that. Yeah. Mechanist with the full Berserker build, ruining text for everything as well as. Yeah, I mean, Mechanist is like, I'm not sure. In general, you should not run here if you really want to get the most amount of gold power for everyone in the squad. Then you should typically not run around with full Berserker gear, one-shotting every mob, because that just like makes it harder for everyone else to tech. I play here on my quickness Herald because I don't have to tech at all. I'm just providing boons and that's good enough. But if you need to tech, I would say better be a little bit like social and don't play around with full Berserker. A quick one, will Warrior support class be viable on all raids with the expansion drops? Yes. So Warrior has already a viable support spec. People don't know about it. I made a video about it and it's amazing. Quickness Heal Berserker is really, really strong. I would definitely recommend you to try it out because it's a really, really good class. It's really, really fun. It's very strong. It's very underrated. Of course, it's not dethroning Chronomancer, but in my opinion, it's actually a quite good A-tier build for sure. And with Paragon coming up, yes, you are correct. Paragon will be a very, very good support spec. Absolutely. So can't wait to try it out. We'll make build guides about it for sure as well. Welcome, Pizza Out. Welcome, welcome. I'm testing how many spirit shards specifically. Of course, gold power as well, but typically how much spirit shards I can get. Currently, I'm around like 60 spirit shards per hour. Seems like a quite high number. So we will hopefully get to this number after playing for a couple of hours. I really want to showcase that this is one of the best ways to get spirit shards in the game. So I want to showcase this here. Yeah. Yeah, if you have any questions or just ask, and if you want to see a specific build guide or even a new player guide, I have a whole spreadsheet where all my guides on YouTube are in there, and you can look for the one that you actually want, and I will probably have it. Just type !builds in the Twitch chat or scroll down under the YouTube stream description. There's also a link to my spreadsheet where all of the links to the videos are in there. So that should help everyone. Is there a list with all the weekly vendors for Clovers and Mystic Coins? So the list is quite short, so I can tell you all of them. So it's World vs. World vendor, it's Dungeon there, it's the PvP vendor, so those are the 2 competitive modes. In PvE you have the Mystic Forge vendor, which is like just Mystic Forge, nothing else. Then you have the Fractal vendor, you have the Raid vendor and the Strike vendor. And that's it. Those are the ones. Those are the ones where you can get them every single week. And you can get Mystic Clovers only from the Strike vendor. That's the only one that provides also Mystic Coins instead of only Mystic Clovers. I've learned a decent chunk about the game from your videos. Appreciate the effort. Thanks. Always happy to help. And if you have any other open questions, just let me know. Maybe a lot of other people have the questions as well. And hopefully we can make a video about that then and help you out or answer it here on stream. Yeah. I noticed there is barely any Chronomancer in the lab. Isn't Chronomancer full of boons? Chronomancer is really good of boons, yes. But it's people just play classes that they think are strong, and even though Chronomancer is really strong, people think it's not as good because it's a little bit like focused on boons that you would normally run in a raid party or something like that. And it's quite bad in terms of tagging because you have no, like Mirage is just better for tagging the mobs because you have more long range damage. Chronomancer doesn't have that easily. You can still run Greatsword, of course, but Greatsword is just straight up a little bit like worse on Chronomancer than it is on Mirage because of the ambush. So I would say personally, people just think Chronomancer is bad, but it's actually not. It's not that bad. Yeah. How do you set up the mounts and more? So you can go to Blish Hut, and if you go into the Blish Hut, you can then select the mounts and more add-on if you want to have the specific module installed. And in general, it's very easy to set up. It explains it perfectly how to set it up, and I have even a video about it. You can type !mouse in the Twitch chat or scroll down if you're on YouTube and go to the spreadsheet, and I have a Blish Hut setup guide. In there I explain also how to set up the mouse and mounts and more add-on. I have 2k spirit shards but don't craft. What can I use them for? You can convert them to gold. If you never want to craft any legendary or use any spirit shards for anything that is account bound, then you can convert them into gold. Currently there is like, if you convert it consistently, you can get 0.7 gold per mystic per spirit shard. So if you have 2k spirit shards, that's around, I would say, 1.5k gold if you convert all of them. I wouldn't recommend it if you ever want to go for a legendary or if you want to go for specific skins. It can be quite painful to get the spirit shards back if you need a lot of them. But I personally would say it's definitely a value that you could do. You could easily convert like a lot of spirit shards into gold and therefore get more gold in the long run if you're just out for gold. Yes, I mean, the Wizard's Tower is the strike vendor. That's it. The strike vendor is the Wizard's Tower vendor. So just wanted to mention that's the same guy. That's the same guy. In your opinion, which class is better for open world and world versus world DPS, mostly Zerg, Necromancer, or Revenant? I would say Necromancer. If you want to play DPS in a Zerg, there is the best option is Necromancer. Reaper and Harbinger and Scourge, they are way better at DPSing than current elite specs for Revenant. And in open world, Necromancer is really, really good, especially Reaper. It's really, really strong in open world. Very good solo builds, very good group builds. I would say Reaper is probably, if you have one elite spec that you want to play, it's probably one of the best. Yes. So Mystic Clovers from the Wizard's Tower are very good as well. I just did not specifically include them because you can just get them from the strike vendor as well. So in general, that's what I would say. Get the Mystic coins, Mystic Clovers from the strike vendor, which is also the one from the Wizard's Tower. So just get them. That's why I included it in the video as well, just very shortly, very briefly. But yes, you can get them there as well. And really, really important that you get there. If you have the Icebrood Saga strike missions and stuff like daily and stuff, then you get a lot of Blue Prophet shards, which you can convert into Mystic Coins and Mystic Clovers. Why does this my session tracker not update? You have to, first of all, have the settings correct. So typically that should work baseline, but if not, you can check your settings by right-clicking it. And you should also double check if you have put an API key in. If there is no API key in the Blish Hut, so for your account, then it cannot track how much gold and stuff you got. So always double check that, but it should work. It should work. Yeah. What's the conversation method to get 7.7 spirits to gold then? I'm skeptical. So you can go to, don't be skeptical. I mean, it's nice to be skeptical about a content creator telling you something. Yeah, sure. But it's not a thing that is like a secret or only works at specific times of the day. You convert tier 4 to, you convert tier 3 to tier 4 materials, or you convert to tier 5 to tier 6 materials, and you get this like very consistent number. You can go to Guild Wars 2 Efficiency, and there you will see it. Guild Wars 2 Efficiency has a specific type of page where you can see all the conversion rates for spirit shards. Just under spirit shards, under Guild Wars 2 Efficiency, and there are like constantly updating the numbers, but in general it's like always around something between 0.6 to 0.9 on the very consistent way of getting them. You can sometimes even go higher than 1 gold for spirit shards. It depends, of course, on the current market. But there are a lot of ways to convert spirit shards. So it's always somewhat stable, rigid market in that regard. How much shards do you recommend to keep? And I do like 1 legendary every 3 months. I guess like a couple hundred. So I would say like if you want to be on the safe side, keep 500 and then always go down to that. That's probably what you would do if you want to get the most amount of value. Like I said, I have 15k spirit shards lying around because I never convert them because I am just too lazy to do it. But if you want to get the most amount of gold, I would say always convert them if you don't need them and try to have a somewhat nice value of maybe like 200 to 500 if you want to be on the safe side with the new expansion coming up, releasing like 1, 2, 3 legendaries at the launch of the expansion. Maybe you want to go for all of them, and then you will thank me for just saving up some more. That's what I would recommend. Yeah. I meant the one from which you can buy infinite mystic clovers. Yeah, though this one I would say this one is not necessarily a better one. So if all the ones where you can buy infinite mystic clovers, it's exactly the same rate or the same gold value as if you would spend them in the Mystic Forge. So if you want to get Mystic Clovers infinitely, you have only 2 options. Either farm gold and invest some money and get, so to say, scammed by the Mystic Forge or the specific Lear vendor that you are talking about. So this is not in the long run like the safest or the most lucrative way to get the Mystic Clovers. And the other one would be farming world versus world PvP or Drizzlewood Coast for the reward tracks. That's about it. You cannot get it any other way infinitely. That's just how it is. The vendor will scam you if you compare it, for example, to getting the Mystic Clovers from the weekly vendors or even from the Wizard's Vault. That's just way less expensive. I think we need a more accessible way to get the Gift of the Feast. It's crazy. Yeah, I think that's, for me, quite insane that they made something that is so specific, the Gift of the Feast, with the crafting of food and specifically glacial shards, which is a very big chunk of why Orax is so expensive, are the glacial shards. And I think it's actually crazy that they set this specific, not easily farmable material into this legendary that probably is one of the most accessible legendaries in the game because it's like only requiring you to play open world and some gold. It's not something that you have to play like anything else. So yeah, I'm not sure what they thought about this, but maybe they have a big plan and I just don't know it yet. We will see. We will see. See, for the Soto map wallet currency, do I need a specific mastery to get them? I don't think so. Only the arcane chests need them. The arcane chests have a mastery, yeah, that's correct. You should get those if you want to get the value from the arcane chests. Which one is it? I think the Heart of the Obscure research, yeah, which will increase the treasures here. So that's really good. You should get this then. But all the others, I think you can farm the normal map and get the map currency without this mastery as well. We know the expansion will bring us some legendary Aqua Breeder because that's the only thing that we don't have. So you see my full character is full legendary. I have a lot of legendaries. I just don't have the Aqua Breeder. I even have the last legendary rune. Yeah, I just need an Aqua Breeder, and that's what we will get. We will get a legendary Aqua Breeder with the expansion. It's not confirmed when, if it will be at launch or if it will be in the updates after that. But we will get the legendary Aqua Breeder. We will get a legendary ring. And we will get, I think, a legendary accessory. Those 3 things are confirmed. Plus 3 legendary weapons. However, it is not confirmed when we will get those legendaries and how many we will get, at least as far as I know. And we don't have the confirmation which weapons we will get. So it could be like 3 underwater weapons. It could be like a spear, a harpoon gun, and a trident. It could be. But it also could be like sword, staff, and I don't know, greatsword, stuff like that, or something, or X. Yeah, I think we don't know. We will see. We will have to wait until they give some more information or until the expansion drops. Yes, there will be a new ring and a new accessory. Yes. Do you think Untamed with boons is good for Labyrinth? Yes. It's probably the best ranger spec to play with a longbow, for example, and provide some boons with like quickness providing and stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best Ranger specs. I think Ranger is one of the rather weak ones for lab farming, but it can easily be done. And it works, yes. Do you have all the weapons? I have all the weapons. Yes, I have like all the Orient skins. That's why I have this title here, Facet of Prison and Boundless Lights, all the skins and stuff. I'm missing like 5 or so legendary weapons from Generation 2, but other than that, I have all of them. And yes, I'm missing only a couple of them. And that's one of the goals, my long-term goal is getting all the legendary weapons. But Generation 2 is very expensive, and some of the skins that I'm missing, for example, like the legendary torch, it's ugly. It's so ugly, and I would never equip it. So it's just something that I get because I'm a collectionist. And yeah, what can I say? That will come at some point, but I'm currently saving a lot of my value, account value, gold, spirit shards, all of that stuff, mystic coins, mystic clovers, everything for the expansion drop, because I don't know if we will get a crazy expensive legendary, if we need new materials, whatever. I just try to get the maximum there before the expansion actually drops already. That's the idea there. I can equip 2 conflux at the same time? Yes. Conflux is not unique. Yes, you can equip 2 of them. Let's check. Unique, coalescence, conflux is not unique. Very weird, but yeah, that's how it works. Here, raid ring is unique. The World vs. World ring is not unique, so you can actually get it 2 rings from only playing World vs. World. Yes. Exactly. Differences between Ascended and Legendary? No, the stats are exactly the same. No differences there. However, you are less quality of life. So Legendary, you can stat select your stats every time. So let me go here and I will showcase this. So I can customize all my stats. I can select them and switch them on the fly when I'm out of combat. I can also, for example, if you're Legendary runes, just change your runes to whatever you like. In Ascended gear, you can stat select Ascended weapons and armor, but it costs you some gold. If you have trinkets, typically they cannot be changed. There are some exceptions to this rule, but typically they cannot be changed. So Ascended gear gives you the same quality of stats, nothing better or worse for Legendary. However, for Legendary, you get the quality of life of being able to change the stats on the fly. And of course, it is somewhat nice looking, hopefully. So that's the difference between Legendary and Ascended. By the way, about clovers, I found the information that for finishing every unrepeatable PvP per reward track, I would get 7 clovers, and a friend of mine is getting those. Though I don't know, somehow, even when I finish the same track, how is it possible? So, in Guild Wars 2, there was a bug before, like 2 weeks ago, they fixed it, that there is one reward track that gives infinite amount of unrepeatable, so to say, rewards. Normally, you have 2 types of reward tracks, let's say 3. The first one is not providing you any mystic clovers. For example, the dungeon reward tracks, they are specific to a specific dungeon. Those will not give you any mystic clovers. Then you have the reward tracks that give 2 mystic clovers because they're infinitely repeatable. So for example, if you have a reward track that is like grindable 24/7 forever, then this one gives you 2 mystic clovers. And then there are the non-repeatable ones, the ones that you just mentioned. They have obviously can only be completed once, but they give you 7 mystic clovers for completion. And there was a bug that there was one repeatable reward track that gave you 7 mystic clovers instead. So obviously really big, but they fixed it in the last big patch. Yes. So now it's 2 only, and it's exactly the same. I'm new to Guild Wars 2 and I'm mainly a solo player and I want to go Thief. Is there a recommended class or will I be fine on Thief? You will be fine on Thief. Thief has actually quite strong solo builds and in general you have a lot of fun with Thief. If you like the class design, you will have fun. Just pick the class that you like. I have guides, multiple guides for Thief that are really strong in a solo scenario and definitely a very good way to just enjoy the class even when you are alone. Of course, a lot of the times if you play a crazy DPS build, it's better if you have a party, but you can make your own build and follow maybe my build guide, whatever you like, and you will have a very easy time with it as well. Yeah, Thief is very good in a solo scenario. If you're really completely alone, Thief is really good. Like Data is really good, Spectre is really good. Even Daredevil is surprisingly good. People don't know it, but it's really good as well. So I would say Thief is highly underrated in terms of solo potential. But I would, at this point, to be honest, when people say, is a class good or bad at solo play, I don't even have to know which class you are asking for. I will always answer, yes, the class is good for solo play, because Guild Wars 2 nowadays, especially with the upcoming elite specs, but even currently, there is not a single class that is really bad at solo thing. It's really, really crazy. Every single class has insane amount of like good solo builds. It doesn't matter which class you pick. Every single class, even every single elite spec has really good solo builds. I made a solo build for every single class, at least one, on my YouTube channel, which is really, really strong. And there are some classes, for example, like Mirage or even like Reaper, that have like 2-3 solo builds that are insanely strong and completely different. So it's like currently the balance of in terms of like how good classes are in solo play is like everything is S tier. It's really, really good. Yeah. But how can I not get those 7 clovers? So I finished the track. It's not there because it's in completed section, but I got no clovers at all. I'm not completely sure. So you can select your reward track from going to World vs. World, for example, and select the reward track. And you can always see which reward track is the infinitely repeatable one, which is having this infinite sign here. So this lying 8 here is the sign that you will be able to infinitely complete it, and it will therefore only give you 2 mystic clovers. If you have a reward track that doesn't have that sign, it's not infinitely repeatable. And if it says specifically dungeon reward track, it just doesn't give you any mystic clovers. If you go for anyone that is, I don't have any that is, oh, this one here. This one here gives you mystic clovers. This one gives me, like, it's only once repeatable. This is not completely true, but yeah. This one gives me mystic clovers at the end. Just the dungeon one doesn't give it. And the ones with the repeatable sign here, with this one, means this one here with the, how's it called, with the 2 arrows pointing on each other, those means they're infinitely repeatable as well. Hope that helps. I'm currently on a 1-button thief build for all open world content. Yeah, I mean, it's really, every class has a really good solo build right now. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. Yeah. What Guardian build would you suggest for lab farming? I would either go like Firebrand with some boons and some ranged attacks, with maybe with a longbow, maybe with some boon duration, stuff like that, and some healing, maybe. Or you go for Core Guardian is decent. Or, of course, if you want to play fast-paced, maybe Willbender, but I would say the best one is probably Firebrand, if I had to make a choice, because you can provide nice boons, you have some ranged attacks when you go for a longbow, maybe, for stuff like that. And in general, just provide a lot of boons. It feels quite similar, to be honest, to Herald. Just provide a lot of boons, press W and follow the tag, and you should be fine in terms of gold and tagging potential. Love the look of Thief and their specs, very exciting. So to try Spectre, the most, I'd say, looks very fun. Yeah, I think Spectre for me is also the most exciting Thief spec. I know not all the people would agree, but I personally like this like Shadow Thief with support potential. It's awesome. I think that's really cool, and they nailed the design of it. And it's really strong in solo play. It's really good. It's probably best spec on Thief for group play as well. So if you like the specific class design, specific elite spec design rather, then you are really, really good, because you can play it in a group or solo, and it's always top tier. Yeah. So I can just agree. It's really good, and I have so many different ideas on new builds for the expansion. Hopefully I have no confirmation or anything about this, no more information than you do, but I hope the new relics will be awesome as well to theory crafting. Maybe Spectre can use even more than that, then it's already like different. It has like already 5 to 10 different builds in PvE alone, and I think if with more relics, more ideas, maybe more gear stats, who knows, maybe we get more gear stats with the expansion, we can make some more crazy builds here as well. And I cannot wait for the expansion to happen, and it will be not even 2 more weeks until it drops. So stay tuned for all my build guides, tier lists, streams. I will just grind the hell out of the expansion when it comes out. So yeah, will be very exciting. And wrong way. The World vs. World exclusive reward track gives 3 mystic clover at the end in the armor chest. So while building up for legendary, get clovers. That is, the thing is, I'm not sure if it's repeatable, the one what you're talking about. I think it gives you 3 mystic clovers once, and then it will not give you, because I think they balanced all the repeatable reward tracks to give 2 mystic clovers. I have not done the reward track with the armor at the end in a long while, but I think in the wiki says, and I just double checked what the wiki says, I think all of the reward tracks are now after the last balance patch giving you 2 Mystic Clovers at the end. So there is not a single one that is like the best for Mystic Clover farming anymore. That's not how it works. Maybe you're right, maybe it's 3. Maybe that's the highest number they want to go there. But in the last patch, I think they fixed all of the ones that gave you 7 or more. The 7, so more than the normal 2 Mystic Clovers for repeated ones. I think they fixed all of that. I'm pretty sure about that. I hope there will be a good new way for Ascended Gear maybe. Getting armor and weapons outside of Wizard's World is so painful. I can't even try builds in Fractals because I'm nearly tier 4 now and I got only 1 set for Berserker. I think, to be honest, they have to make a way to get... that might be a hot take, but I think it would be really cool if they would have in the Wizard's Vault, for example, or maybe for some map currency or some overarching currency, that's what I'm saying, that you can get Ascended Gear. For example, if you want to get another weapon chest, yeah, the first one costs 600, yeah, but I think it would be cool if there would be like an unlimited amount of Ascended weapon chests for Astral Acclaim, but they cost like, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times the amount of Astral Acclaim. So that people that really direly need more Ascended Gear and don't want to go out of their comfort zone of farming specific maps that they normally farm, where they can't get Ascended Gear, that they can still get a lot of Ascended Gear this way, but it costs way more Astral Acclaim. Or some other currency that you can get for doing multiple things, not specifically only playing raids, only playing fractals, only playing strike missions. I think it would be cool to get Ascended Gear, whatever you do in Guild Wars 2, it just requires a lot of time investment in the game in general. I think that's a valid point, that new players might struggle to get anything after the Wizard's World free stuff. Yeah. Like for the gold coins, exactly. That you have something that just is infinitely there. You wouldn't use it if you're a veteran or someone that has like all their Ascended or Legendary gear even, but at least as an option for players that actually want to invest, even if it's not the most lucrative way to get the Astral Acclaim into Wizard's World, you can still get the stuff that you actually want. I think currently their idea is that they jumpstart you with like 3 armor pieces and 1 weapon, and then you have to look for the ways that are normal to get them. But I think it would be cool, even if it would be an horrendous price with Astral Acclaim, I think it would still be a valid idea to make that for new players somewhat accessible. Maybe not infinite ones, maybe it's just 5, whatever, just something that you can actually work towards too. Who knows? I hope the raid and the strike quick play would make it easier to get Ascended Gear, would be really good. I think it, to be honest, I actually expect that the quick play will have some quite decent rewards attached to it. I think that the quick play will maybe even be a way for new players to give them an option to get Ascended Gear by just getting quick play features in. Yeah, I think it is quite likely that they will do that. I think at the same time that if there is any legendary, like the legendary ring or something like that, bound to raids specifically, I think you will not be able to get this or the legendary armor from just doing quick play. But I think they will make it so that the quick play is rewarding for new player to actually join. They did it with Fractals, and I really think they will do that the same for the raids, for the strike merging, because I think they really want to stress that this is a new feature and we want to have more people playing this new game mode, new feature, and not want to have a new feature that only a couple of players try out and then no one plays it again. So I think making it very easy, very accessible, while also providing it with really good top-end gear would be a way to make it so that everyone is interested in playing it, almost everyone at least. So yeah, I think that could be a way. Ascended Gear could be a way for that. But overall, I must say Guild Wars 2 is really accessible. I'm playing for like 5 or 6 weeks now and already started tier 4 Fractals, did the raid, only leaving 1 door, and doing Iceblood Saga 5 strike missions. It's really easy to get into stuff and you're happy with only 1 set. Yes, I think Guild Wars 2 is like getting to the highest amount of quality gear is like probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest MMO out there in terms of like raw, like getting best in slot gear. Of course, if you like to play 10 different builds on 9 different characters, yes, then it might be a little bit harder to get always the best in slot gear, but I think that's completely fine. I think that's one of the coolest ideas of the horizontal progression, is to understand that if you want to play like all different classes, all different builds, you have to maybe get legendary gear or get a lot of time invested in getting Ascended gear. And I think that's fine. I think that's good. I totally agree. I think Guild Wars 2 is one of the most accessible MMOs. And congrats, by the way, Tassi, for being so focused on all this stuff and getting so much done. But yeah, I think that's obviously also somewhat dependent on the person. Some people are a little bit chill and casual and don't want to get everything done very fast, but some people like Tassi here want to get like insane, get like raids, fractals, everything all at once going, and that's also fine. I think Guild Wars 2 is very flexible in that regard. It always reminds me a little bit of a sandbox game because everyone plays it differently. There are some people that played the game for 10 years almost every day and have never ever touched a raid. Yeah, I mean, you can play it, sure. Just opened 4k bags and only trash? Yep, I would not recommend opening this. Sorry to hear that, Taste, but that's how it goes. That's why I always say sell it, don't go for RNG. That will not pay out in the long run. Do you think when all the veterans are playing the new expansion, it will get pretty hard to finish old metas for a few weeks? So in the last few expansions when it happened, we had, of course, a big like influx, let's say, flux in the new maps. Yes, absolutely. There will be less metas, there will be less raids, less strike missions going in the first couple of days. But as soon as like the first week is over, everyone goes back to the normal stuff. They will, of course, grind the new stuff as well, but they will not only stay there. And I think even on the first day, not everyone has the expansion. Keep that in mind as well. And of course, it's not always the best way to get gold in new expansions. So people want to get gold for getting new legendaries, for example. They will go back to older maps like the Chuck Garant if they, well, maybe more Auric Basin for gold. But in general, people will go back there. Don't worry. Maybe the first few days might feel a little bit like less popular to be on those maps, less populated. But after a week or something, it completely like will be fine again. Of course, you will see that newer maps are always somewhat more exciting to play there, and then maps that released in last patch will always be a little bit less exciting, at least if there's no incentive to go back to them. We saw that with all the Chantia Wilds maps. When Chantia Wilds dropped, everyone played Lowland Shore and Chantia Sindri. Then 3 months after that, we get a new content. 6 months after that, we got the Bava Nissos map, and back then no one played Chantia Sindri for the most part anymore, which is fine. That's just how the normal MMO cycle goes, if there are no specific currency or legendaries that you can get from this specific map only. So don't worry, it will work. Yeah, I personally, if you just needed gold, then I would say it's the best thing that you can get is just selling the bags. Yeah, but now you know at least. That's how it. Don't see it too stressful. Just next time you sell it, you will be good then. My magic find right now is... Oh, it dropped. Why did it drop? Oh, almost good. Thanks for the reminder. My magic find should be 750 when we kill up a few bosses. It should be always 700 plus. That's the important part. I missed something dropped as well. Let me check. Always double checking. Something dropped. Yeah, okay. One of the boosts that I cannot renew here. But in general, always 700 or 750 if you can get that. That's the important part. Yes. It's when you want to play with different builds that makes it a challenge, a fun challenge, don't I like it? Yeah, I agree, Sarah. I think Guild Wars 2, the horizontal progression is one of the best things about the game if you like to play different builds. If you're only playing on one specific character, I think you can be done with the game in that regard, done quite fast, because there is almost no incentive for you to ever engage with the gear grind again. But if you're going for 70 different characters, then you might have a different mindset then, for sure. I stand corrected, it is 2 clovers in the World vs. World exclusive, plus your legendary exotic precursor. That did remove a clover, just opened one to check. Yeah, glad too that I did not spread any misinformation. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, but I think that's how it should be. They have to have a value that this is what you normally get for Mystic Clovers per reward track. And then they stick to this, and you can select the reward track that you actually want to get the currency or the precursor, whatever you like, but you should not be able to, or should not be forced to use a specific reward track only for clovers if it's not specifically called the Mystic Clover reward track. Doesn't exist, and therefore it should not be like that one reward track is better than the others. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for confirming, and thanks for admitting. Really good. Infusion trains will never die. Yeah, I agree. I think as long as the infusions are pricey and valuable, especially like, for example, Chuck infusion, which is 10k gold, if that's always around this value and people will want to buy the infusion still, even though it's so expensive, there will be no way that the infusion trains, that stuff like that, dies. It's very unlikely to me. This is, I would say, one of the biggest parts why the community is still playing those maps, and I think a lot of people still like to play those maps that drop specific infusions and stuff, because they have the big dopamine at the end of a reward or something like that, where you could get really lucky and get multiple legendaries worth of gold. However, I think they have to be careful that if they ever make any changes with the fashion template, for example, that binds them to their account or whatever, that the values of the infusions could change drastically, could go down, could go way higher. And I think they have to be careful that this not gets out of hand. I think the economy in Guild Wars 2 is very well balanced, and I think it should stay like that. And we will see if the expansion, especially the fashion templates, change a lot there, or if they just are something like equipment template and that's it. We will have to see. But yeah, definitely a big selling point for a lot of open world players are the infusion trains, for sure. I do not like that in Soto they gave exclusive specs weapons to everyone. In my opinion, it lowers the specs identity. Yes, I agree. I'm a build craft enjoyer, if you might have noticed that already, yeah. And one of the things that I found really interesting was playing a specific spec, for example, let's say Renegade. Because Renegade itself was, for example in PvP, never played because of the F skills. The F skills were never exciting or never very strong. But you always played Renegade before Soto came out because of the short bow. The short bow was like insane. It was really good. And you wanted the short bow. That's why you picked Renegade. And now with Soto, it feels like, yes, Renegade has a spot because of the spirits or something, yeah. But it's not something that you say, yep, I pick it because of the weapon. Now it feels like you always pick the best in-slot weapon all the time. It doesn't matter if it's from Renegade, if it's from Herald, whatever, you always pick the specific weapon. And that limits the build crafting or the identity of a class because it's always the same weapon. It doesn't matter if you have a different elite spec equipped. It's always the same mindset. If you're Conny build, you run this weapon. If you're power build, you typically run this weapon. It's not about playing with the elite specs and thinking about it. So I'm definitely with you there. But they will never go back, so it doesn't make any sense to talk about it any longer because that's just how they made the design decision, and that's how it goes, I guess. Yeah. Haven't played in a while now, but I'm usually run the same guys at the same time every night, so it's nice social angle as well. Yes, definitely good point. Yeah, I think it's like community in Guild Wars 2 is not forced, but if you have it, like with the infusion trains, like with raid statics or something like that, it's definitely making the game a better place in that regard for you to play it, I would say. Even though it's not forced, you can easily play the game completely alone, but if you have friends to play with, I think it's more exciting and more interesting. So, good point there, yeah. Is there a Spear Thief build? There are so many Spear Thief builds, and I've been working on one, but I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest, like, how can I say, I'm not the best at Thief Spear because you have to, like, it's not hard, but it's also not that easy. So I have to like commit some time to it. And right now I'm very busy. I have some really cool videos coming up. Maybe I can get it done before the expansion, but I think the expansion dropping like in 13 days. Let's check. I think it's 13 days. Yeah, 13 days until the expansion drops. I'm not sure if I can get the Spear Thief going before then. I will definitely get to it. Don't worry, I will definitely come back to it when the expansion is like a few weeks old. Then I will go back to older elite specs, and maybe even Antiquary uses Spear very well, so I will do a guide about it as well. We will see, but yeah, I have not forgotten a Spear Thief build. I'm just currently a little bit focused on maybe other stuff, yeah. I know that nowadays every class is stable, that's extremely nice, but which heavy armor class would you choose to be powerful, useful, and fun for you personally if you decided to level one? I personally think if I would just think about the class fantasy personally, I would say Revenant is the most fun one, but in terms of like current strength, I think the best one to level, best powerful heavy armor class is probably Guardian. Guardian is in all game modes a staple, it's really strong, Firebrand is really good in support, Willbender is really good in DPS, and Dragon Hunter is always a good DPS build. There are so many different builds that you can play on Guardian as well. Even Firebrand has a full DPS build full support build or hybrid. It's just really, really flexible. It's really good as a solo Guardian build. It's just, in my opinion, one of the best specs, period. And I think Guardian, specifically, if you only wanted heavy armor classes, is probably the best pick right now. Absolutely. Yes, I have a referral link, Carol, if you want to purchase any expansion or the Visions of Eternity pre-order, or after it came out as well. Just check out the description or type !buy in the Twitch chat. In the description of the Twitch stream or the YouTube stream, there's a link where you can just support me for no additional cost by purchasing using my referral link. So yes, it's always in the description, and thanks for considering it. That's why I love the spears. They gave a new side for existing builds. Exactly. I think the spears are way more interesting than the Soto weapons. That might be a very hot take, but the spears were added in a way that they were focused on all the elite specs and not like the Soto expanded weapon or not the expanded weapon proficiency, but that you could use, for example, the weapons from Herald on a Renegade. That is something that is not as intuitive as a spear that just gets added to the base class. And that's why I think the spears are way more interesting than, personally, the just allowance that you can be able to get all the weapons on all elite specs. I think that was not a good decision, but the spears were interesting for sure. Yeah, more builds coming, and I will it will be a stressful but very, very fun time when the expansion drops for me, because I will stream like crazy. I will try out the new content while also trying, of course, to make new build guides and new tier lists about the new expansion elite specs. Absolutely. Absolutely. When was your first Guild Wars 2 stream? The first time that I streamed Guild Wars 2 was pretty much a year ago. So not that long ago, actually. Because I started streaming when Chante Wilds dropped. So it was a little bit longer than a year because Chante Wilds dropped in August. So I streamed, I think, like at the beginning of September, at the end of August, when Chante Wilds dropped. That was my first stream. And I have improved by quite a bit in terms of quality, but it's still obviously not perfect. I'm still always looking for feedback and trying to improve my stream. But yeah, I started streaming pretty much a year ago, a little bit longer, yes. So not the longest content creation journey yet. Yeah. Guardian, the Golden Child of Arena Knights? Yes, I would have agreed, like, let's say 2 years ago. Definitely, absolutely best. Without like a doubt, best class overall would be Guardian. But right now, Mesmer seems like the new favorite child of Arena Net. Like looking at Chronomancer, looking at like Troubadour coming out, Mesmer seems like the absolute like crazy good spec. I'm not sure if it will stay like that, but for now I think like Mesmer and Guardian are above all other classes, and I think Mesmer is slightly better than Guardian if it would be just in terms of like how often they balance it positively and how little time it is actually weaker than other classes. I think it's a very, very strong spec right now. Yeah, I think Mesmer personally, from a design perspective, that might be a hot take, but I think Mesmer is the most unique class in Guild Wars 2, because tell me one other game that has a Mesmer design or a class that is as unique, as special to a specific game than Mesmer. I really think Mesmer is one of the best specs in terms of uniqueness, and I think it's really cool if it's also strong. Of course, it's a little bit too strong to some extent, because it's, for example, Chronomancer is, I would say, the best supports hand down in PvE. And I would say that's not necessarily like it's not necessarily the best thing to have a class that is very, very strong, and then it's also the most flexible one. But I think they can balance that. I just really like the design of Mesmer. It's, I would say, from a class design, probably my favorite class. So, yeah. And as always, streamed in English? Yes, I always streamed in English. I never started streaming in my native language. I think that just makes sense to reach more people. And of course, in the beginning, my pronunciation was even worse than right now. But if people could understand me, and hopefully they still can, I'm happy with that, and I will stick to it. Nice, my German accent is the reason you watch my stream. Okay, I mean, if it's not like disturbing, then perfect. I try my best, but of course it's not. You will probably never get in my lifetime completely rid of it. It's just some people are really good in speaking a different language and you can never like tell that they are not native speakers. But apparently I'm not one of them. I'm just trying to be as understandable as possible, and hopefully I'm doing a decent job with that. Yeah, Revenant is very unique as well. Good point. I think that's probably even... Nah, I'm not sure if it's more unique than Mesmer, but it's definitely also very unique. The problem that I have with Revenant, and that might be again a very hot take, but I think the problem that I have with Revenant is that the core class is extremely unique. It's really, really unique. Like, probably one of the best core classes in terms of design. Yeah, with the legends, with the energy mechanic, with the different trait lines that are interacting a lot with the different legends and stuff. But the problem is the elite specs. The elite specs on Revenant, in my opinion, are one of the weakest elite specs. It might be a really hot take, but in terms of class fantasy elite specs, they don't add that much. They add an F2 or F3, sometimes an F4 button, yeah? But they don't change the gameplay mechanic as drastically as, for example, Chronomancer does for Core Mesmer. Or like, for example, Firebrand does for Core Guardian. I think that is just something that is a little bit lacking. I think that's why I would say the uniqueness of Revenant goes down because of its rather weak elite spec design. That's my take, yeah. Ich bin ein Deutscher. So, one sentence in German for you. Is Power Wildbender good on solo open world things? It's okay. I tried to make a build about it, but Condi is just superior on Guardian. It works, but it's not crazy, yeah. Revenant is quite unique, but the core class mechanics makes it very restrictive. Exactly. I think the problem is that the core class's uniqueness is a big problem why the elite specs are not as exciting as they could be. Because the uniqueness of the core class makes the class already very interesting to play, but they cannot take away the core class's mechanics because, for example, they cannot take the energy or the legend swapping away because it's so basic and built in the Revenant spec that you cannot change that. And that makes it very hard to come up with an elite spec that is extremely transformative and changes the elite spec insanely because you cannot change how the core class works. On Mesmer, if you go to Virtuoso, you lose your clones because the clones are interesting, but they are not as unique as, for example, the Revenant's elite specs or Revenant's energy mechanic and legends. And I think this is very easy to make a class that has a somewhat decent core class and transform it a lot. It's way harder to have a very good core class and transform it into a way that is way more exciting than before. That's really challenging. So I really hope that Conduit gets some big love and big buffs so that it is the crazy new transformative elite spec, but right now it doesn't look like it. Welcome, Mr. Broken One. Welcome, welcome. Busy time at work? Yeah, I agree. So nice to see you. You had a video about Spectre builds for all modes. You use scepter pistol weapons. I have a rule that when I use magic, I do not use guns. What can I switch the pistol to? You can use dagger, and maybe that's a more magic feeling weapon. So that should be okay as well. It's a little bit weaker in some situations. It is not as supportive, but it is still decent. So, and it does maybe a little bit more damage, at least in PvE. So you should be fine with it. Yeah. So pistol, remove the pistol and go for dagger. That should be fine. Just keep the scepter. Yeah. In the future, you could add some stuff for channel points, like speaking a native language for 10 minutes. I see it quite often and people seem to like that stuff. Yeah, I think I am still, that's a really cool idea. In general, I'm still looking for any feedback in terms of how I can use my channel points, maybe make some giveaways that is or maybe make some challenges. I don't know, not some challenges that I have to do, do push-ups when I die in PvP or something for the next hour or something for challenge points, whatever. Just coming up with some random ideas here, and stuff like that is really fun. I think some incentive for staying tuned into the stream is always good. So if the channel points are somewhat worth spending on something, absolutely. So if you have more ideas like that, let me know. I'm always happy to improve. And I will not be able to implement it right now, of course, but I will hopefully get to it at some point. Yeah. But I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed with the Troubadour mechanics. It looks like a reverse Virtuoso for support, no illusions, and build up nodes instead of consuming ammunition plates. Yes, I personally was one of the, I would say maybe rare people that said I'm not the biggest fan of Troubadour. I think Troubadour looks a little bit lame to me. After playing it, I would still say it's not the most interesting, unique elite spec, but it is at least fun to play. Yeah, I think personally, I think it's very fun when I tried it in the beta, and I think it will probably be even more fun when it comes out in the expansion. But I think it is not the most unique design. It feels like a little bit like Virtuoso focused on support, and that's not enough for me to make the spec very interesting to play. But I think I will still play it because it will be broken, and I'm not sure how they could make it more interesting, to be honest, because I'm not as like creative to come up with a cool idea there. But I personally think it's definitely something that is a criticism that is completely valid in my eyes for sure. Yeah. Do a legendary bounty with no gear. That will be a short challenge, and I would say a rather grim one, because with no gear, legendary bounty might be somewhat challenging. I guess you could play it with an engineer because you don't have to have a weapon on that spec, but I'm not sure. I will get one shot because of no armor. Yeah, so not that exciting. If my build uses 2 X's and I make one legendary, can I make both of them look like the legendary? Yes, you can make them look like the legendary, but you can only equip one legendary. So if you have like Frostfang once, which is the legendary X, if you have it once, you can equip Frostfang once, but you can make the second X also look like Frostfang. But it will not have the same stats necessarily. Yes. If you do PvP world versus world, could you do something like choose my class, build raffle? Yeah, that is really interesting. I think that's quite fun, to be honest. That it would have to be like something of with a cooldown, because of course I cannot change my build every like 5 minutes. That's just not how it works. But I think it's quite fun to watch if I would like change my build every now and then, because then people will actually say, oh, I want to play see someone play a Reaper, and then next game I play a Willbender, and then next game I play, I don't know, Tempest. Yeah, for sure, that would be really fun. I have to implement that. Takes a while, but I will get there. Yeah, good idea, really good, liked it. One death, instant 100 gold giveaway. Oof, that will be painful, because some builds obviously are more prone to dying than others. So especially if I would do fractals, for example, and GG a lot, then I would have to do a lot of giveaways. But I guess you're referring to competitive modes. And then it would be more interesting for sure. I wish the thief staff was more desirable. It's so much fun animation set. A few years ago I ran a staff thief as a main and had a blast with it, just watching, opposed to the Mesmer Gracer one is so boring. I think Thief staff is in a decent spot. It's like a very good power-based weapon, but I think in general they need to buff a little bit of the uniqueness of Thief's power specs. I think Thief as a power DPS build can use staff very well, but it doesn't feel like as exciting to use because it doesn't bring that much other than CC maybe. So I really hope they will give us something on top of that. Maybe buff like Daredevil a bit, maybe make the traits more unique. I don't know. Either way, I think it would be really cool if we get some more love for Thief. And specifically staff. Yeah, I agree. No challenges like that, Carol. Don't worry. I am not like, I don't want to do any politics here on stream. I'm focused on gaming. I want to have a positive like mindset, positive atmosphere. I will not focus on anything political. Yeah. You said previously that Chrono is more different to Core Masma than the Revenant Elite specs? Yeah, I agree so. I think so, yeah. Because it provides, yes, you could make the argument it still has somewhat close shatters, but the F5 changes the spec quite drastically. And I think the Wells and specifically the traits make the class very specific. You can make a lot of different decisions that are quite interesting to play around. I had some commercials, so I probably missed it. Who did say Anet's least favorite child was? I think that like Warrior and probably Thief are, if you would consider the different like power level right now, would probably be one of the rather weaker specs. But I would say it's harder to say which is the least favorite child of ArenaNet. It's easier to say which the most favorable childs, which would be Guardian Mesmer. How much gold per hour is it? So we can see currently I'm like at 1k trick-or-treat bags per hour. One stack of trick-or-treat bags is roughly 7.5 gold. So that means I get like, let's say, 28 gold from that. Then I get 5 gold liquid. And then I get 48 spirit shards, which is roughly, let's say, if I'm a little bit pessimistic, 30 gold. So 30 gold plus 28 plus 5, it's like 60 gold per hour if you do it like that. Roughly. So a little bit loot dependent and a little bit spawn dependent and stuff. But right now, really, really good gold farm. In my feeling, the Chronomancer plays the most similar to the Core Mesmer compared with Mirage or Virtuoso. I think it depends heavily how you play Chronomancer. I personally think this like Continuum Shift, if you play it correctly, and especially like compared it to Core Mesmer, I think it completely changes how the spec plays. But I can understand people saying it feels like somewhat closer to Core Mesmer than Mirage or Virtuoso do. I think that's completely like a fair statement, but I think it's very subjective to talk about how classes feel, because that's just a feeling. It's not something that you can put your finger on and say, yeah, this class is very, very good and very fun to play because of that, because it's after all very subjective to talk about fun. Yeah. Is that Daredevil Dagger power build is nice? Yeah, it's really fun. But it's sadly, again, not using the staff. So if you are in for a staff, it has one specific playstyle power build, and that's about it. So Thief, Dagger is very classic, and I think Daredevil is very good with it. But Staff is competing against that, so it's really hard to find a place where both of them are valid. Probably Cleave is Staff centered, and Dagger most single target, so I guess that's fine. But maybe a little bit more help there. Could you explain deeper? The Chronomancer is so much different from Core Mesmer. I think I missed something. So Chronomancer is way more flexible than Core Mesmer, because you can use the Continuum Split to make a lot of things that Core Mesmer would only be accessed once, accessed multiple times. And that's a very basic concept, but for me, that changes the class in a way that I can play very flexibly, where I can completely outplay opponents by using stuff twice, by teleporting back in time, resetting my cooldowns. The well concept of using a well, going back out of the F5, and the well is still there and gives me my healing after I came back out of the F5 to go back, and then I get the healing proc still, even though normally you would reset your health pool. So I personally think this time mage with wells, I personally really think that's completely different than Core Mesmer. And also don't forget, Core Mesmer has different shatters than Chronomancer. Yes, Chronomancer's shatters are somewhat similar, but the shatters are different than Mirage and Core Mesmer shatters. So I personally think Core Mesmer is definitely very much different, at least from a feeling, than Chronomancer is. At least in my opinion, but it's very subjective. Yeah. No, I think it's like, I think the servers are exactly the same. So it's like, I'm talking about the gold that you get when you sell it. So you're right, it's this, NA and Europe are using the same trading post. So we have country trading post. I'm just talking here about when you sell it, you get 7.5. That's what I meant. Not when you buy it, when you sell it from the taxes. Regarding to Envoy Collection 1, can I delete all the items that I get for the collection after acquiring it? So, of course, I would say in general, if you have any collection going, goes for any collection. I would rather save the item until you're done with the collection, but typically, if you unlocked it for the collection, you are somewhat safe to delete it. If you really need the space, you can delete it, I guess. You can double check the wiki before if you want, but I would say most of the time you can delete the item. There are a few exceptions, but not that many. And either way, I would say if you have the space, save it until you have it done. Yeah. I bought Rune of Speed and I use it with my Necromancer core, but it doesn't work. Swiftness 33% only. But skill shows 66 when you hover over it. Yes, I'm in a fight. Still don't work. Crazy. That's weird, to be honest. Normally it should work. I don't know. I really don't know. This one here does not change the number here. So if you have if you get 66% by the speed and you hover over it, it still shows 33%, but the speed buff is actually 66%. So maybe that's what you mean. Maybe the UI is not updating, but it actually works. You are still moving faster. You can see that clearly in PvP, for example, that Rune of Speed definitely increases the movement speed, at least in combat. I've been selling for 82 silver per stack lately. You mean probably 8.2? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it depends obviously on the time when you sell it. But like I said, I think I'm always referring to after the taxes, because you have to sell it and then you get the money. You cannot compare it if you just look at the the value here, because I want the number that I actually get when farming and not get the number that is inflated by the text on top of that. I used to be a warrior main, now I'm an engineer main, mostly scrapper in instant content, holosmith in open world and PvP, but I'm super interested in Chronomancer Mirage. How difficult would it be to learn a class that if I'm an engineer main? I would say engineer mains already have a good, especially if you don't only play Mechanist, I think you have a very, very good understanding of the game to some extent, because it's a rather challenging class to get into if you not only play Mechanist specifically. So just try it out. I think it's quite likely to be actually not that challenging for you. Especially Chronomancer is quite easy to understand if you just understand the F5. That's it. Everything else is quite simple. So I would say Chronomancer, probably easy to learn. Mirage, very easy to learn if you stick to the low intensity staff build. If you want to have a more challenging build, then typically it gets quite complicated quite fast. Like the full DPS option, for example, for raids, strikes, and fractals and stuff is quite challenging. But you don't have to start with that, and Chronomancer, in my opinion, is quite easy to get into. Yeah. Exactly. I think the Texas is, for me, is always, when I do gold guides and stuff like that, I'm always referring to anything that I actually get. That is really the liquid value that I get in my wallet after selling everything, after converting everything. And that's why I never refer to stuff pre-taxes, because that's not really helpful in that regard, because first of all, it might change. Second of all, it is just not the real value. You know, it's, if you get a lot of value and you have to sell all of that stuff, that's not, in that regard, very helpful to compare. So I would rather compare it after the taxes. At least that's my take there. Is this event good for spirit shards farming? Yes. You can see I'm getting over 50 spirit shards per hour. So if you need a lot of spirit shards, yes, it is a very good event. Of course, it mostly requires a lot of boosters, but any spirit shards farm requires that. So if you want to get the highest value for your time, then you always have to run around with like crazy boosters, as you can see here. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best, if not the best farm right now for specifically spirit shards. And the gold per hour, if you convert all the spirit shards, is also very high. You can go, currently I'm at like 60 gold per hour. So yeah, it is good. Very good. I also need to put down a banner again at some point. Looks good. Yeah, but if you have any questions, just ask. I'm always happy to answer. And